Imagine leading your army into battle. Everything seems to be in your favor. Even the gods seem to signal that you are favored. Then, in the middle of the battle, the tide turns and a volcano swallows your warriors. This was Keōua's fate in the Chief of War Season 1 finale. Every war has a turning point, and for Kamehameha, it came in fire and smoke. This episode brings that moment to life, when Pele herself struck the battlefield and cleared the path for Kamehameha's rise. Yet even in celebrating Kamehameha's destiny, this finale keeps its focus on Kaʻiana. He is the Chief of War, the man caught between loyalty and betrayal. His presence drives the drama of the episode, shaping how we see the main battle and the subplots. And now in the shadow of the Black Deserts, myth and history collide. So let's step into that moment, into Keōua's retreat, Pele's eruption, and the sacrifice that seals Kamehameha's path to power. This club was carved in the days of Hanakahi. Hanakahi was a high chief, ali'i nui, of Hilo on Hawaiʻi Island. Remembered for ruling in the 15th century and for his reputation as a fair and prosperous leader. There are places named after him, like Waiakea Hanakahi in Hilo. Even though he lived way before Kamehameha, centuries before, Hanakahi is remembered in chants and stories and helped shape the history of Hawaii. Here we see one of the chiefs of Hilo who was made to offer his teeth to Keōua as a sign of loyalty, similar to what Keōua did in episode 4. So this phrase, ali'i Kaʻūa, translated as Chief of War, does exist in several mele and chants. The great Hawaiian historian Samuel Kamakau does mention it. He ali'i koa, he ali'i Kaʻūa. It's not necessarily a formal title so much as a role, just as Kamehameha uses it here in this instance, calling Kaʻiana Chief of War to lead his armies into battle. The guns they are using are called muskets. They are considerably less accurate than modern rifles. The support hand is much more forward on the rifle than we are used to today. This is to give leverage and balance when firing. Other countries like those in Europe would train their soldiers to hold muskets in a similar way during this time. This is likely Keōua's forces preparing for war here. Think of each fire as belonging to an ali'i where they would eat their last meals and likely receive instruction for battle the next day. I love seeing both of these weapons side by side, showing both the old and the new world that were both essential to Kamehameha's victory at the Black Desert. What Kamehameha says here is true for many Hawaiians. I remember when I was learning more about the battles that were going on in old Hawaii and how they would last a very long time and were very violent. It made several of us Hawaiians who were learning about this really sad, because Hawaiians were destroying each other over things that should have been resolved peacefully. So many lives lost because of the pride of just a few people. Also, I prefer the Hawaiian wording here. The English translation is, I take no comfort in the death we will bring today. But in Hawaiian, Kamehameha says, A'ole na'e maha ku'una'au. My belly or stomach is not at peace. There's some deeper meaning with the word na'au, which means belly or insides. But Kamehameha's wording is much more Hawaiian. And Kainamakua delivers these lines perfectly. Notice that Heke wears the ahu'ula to the side and not directly on her shoulders. It's a sign that she doesn't actually hold that rank, but is still wearing the ahu'ula that was given to her, basically recognizing that she is honored to have the ahu'ula, but does not claim Nahi's rank. So yes, this is interpreted as a blessing of ku, allowing a feather to fall from Kamehameha's mahi'ole to Kaʻiana's ahu'ula. But there is additional meaning. When something like this happens in a place like this, a heiau, which did happen from time to time, they would view it as a sharing of mana from one warrior to another. Chanting while entering the battlefield was a significant part of warfare in old Hawaii. It was to ask for strength, to unite the warriors, and to intimidate. Also, this chanter is Kalekua Ka'eo, who is a native Hawaiian scholar, educator, and activist. He is an associate professor of Hawaiian studies at the University of Hawaii at Mauna. I can't help but think that this could have all been avoided if Keōua wasn't so prideful. These are all based on real events in Hawaii, and I must admit that it saddens me to see how much was lost because of a few prideful or corrupt leaders. This chanter is Dr. Kalehua Krug, who used to teach at the University of Hawaii, but is now the principal of the Hawaiian immersion school, Kawaihona Okana'awao. He, along with Kīlauea Kaʻū, were cultural consultants for the show. This is why they are appearing as the chanters, since they wouldn't need to be taught anything. Just tell them, go chant, and they know what to do. Do you remember Kaʻiana doing this earlier in the season? It's nice to see him using that specific skill that was showcased earlier. One thing that this series has been doing very well is bookending. Let's make something very clear. This show is called Chief of War, which refers to Kaʻiana, so he is featured extensively. But realistically, Kamehameha was a very capable warrior in real life, considerably stronger than Kaʻiana. The real Kamehameha was taller than Kainamakua, but Kainamakua has been absolutely amazing as Kamehameha, and it is very likely that Kamehameha would mop the floor with anyone on that battlefield. He was too strong, too well trained, and he had Kaʻū and Pele on his side. So this individual here getting his tongue pulled out is Kahoʻokahi Kanuha. In addition to being a language consultant for Chief of War, he was actually Jason Momoa's Hawaiian teacher. So Jason Momoa, Kaʻiana, pulling out his tongue was actually a fun little joke about Kahoʻokahi no longer needing to be Jason's teacher. So I guess we know now what Heke was saving that poison for from the previous episode. And yes, plant-based poisons were used to poison people just as Heke used it here. This scene where Keōua's forces were swallowed up by the volcano is based on real events. Not exactly the same as in the show, but it did happen. In 1790, as Keōua Kuahu'ula retreated with his warriors across the Kaʻū Desert, Kīlauea erupted. Ash, poisonous gas, and cinders rained down, killing hundreds of Keōua's men almost instantly, and leaving the survivors broken and scattered. To many Hawaiians, this was not just a natural disaster, but the goddess Pele herself taking sides, striking down Keōua's forces and signaling that Kamehameha's destiny to unify the islands was divinely ordained. This moment, later called the Battle with Pele, weakened Keōua beyond recovery and became one of the most powerful omens in Hawaiian history. And if you would like to go see the footprints of these people who died, you can go to Hawaiʻi Volcanoes National Park to see them. Archaeologists have studied these footprints for decades, and most agree that they were left by Keōua's warriors. On a personal note, I was waiting for this scene for the entire series. I was curious to see how they would tell that story, and I thought it was amazing. In real life, Keōua didn't die in this way. In 1791, he sailed to Kawaihai to meet Kamehameha at Pu'ukohola Heiau, the massive temple built and dedicated to the war god Kaʻū. As he stepped ashore, Keōua was seized by Kamehameha's chiefs and killed, and his body was offered in sacrifice at the heiau. And that's going to do it for this episode, and what a finale it was. One thing that I loved about the season 1 finale is how it brought Keōua's story to a close. But it left so many more stories and questions to explore. What will happen between Kaʻiana and Ka'ahumanu? What will happen between Kaʻiana and Kamehameha? How far will Kahekili push his own son? What's going to happen to Marley? These are all questions that I hope will be answered in season 2. I will have other follow-up videos about this series coming soon. Meanwhile, in the comments, let me know what you'd like me to cover next. I plan on covering Polynesian shows and movies in addition to my regular content. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button so you don't miss any of it. Thanks for watching, ahui ho, and we'll see you next time.